So, hey, this is Josh B. from Henderson, Kentucky. This is the Hendo Beat Podcast, the inaugural episode, first episode. Get it? Henderson County, Kentucky, the Hendo Beat Podcast. Beat the news? It's a play on words. This is the first episode. I'm going to rant a little bit. Each episode is going to have me up front being myself. And hopefully you guys will like it. It'll be news, pop culture events, what irks me, what I'm happy about, what's going on in Henderson or the tri-state area, maybe even the fucking weather. Lots to talk about in the world today if you're an American. I enjoy politics. Biden, motherfucker, I'm too old to do it. He quit. We found out at band practice. Pretty fun day to talk about. So Kamala's coming, baby. She's got the coconut tree. She's shaking it up. We're doing it. I feel like they made a good choice. You know, I used to be a big D Democrat. I used to ride hard for the Obama man. You know, they did my boy Bernie bad, so we moved a little bit farther left. But it's fun to look at the Blues team from a different lens now as an older man. And I feel like they made a good choice with Kamala. Is she complicit? Of course. Is she going to create a lot of money for a lot of warlords? Of course. But they might actually beat old Trump boy. Speaking of, my man Trump got shot in the ear. We were at work, we found out the dude got hit by maybe glass, maybe a bullet. And then they released the guy that did it. Yep, that's about right. The guy looks like a school shooter. He missed. He dead now, though. They took him out. Is it a cover-up? I don't know. Was it conspiracy? The homie did the Fight the Power. People loved it. People really did. And he's a good guy on stage. He's got great stage presence. He's a funny dude. He knows what he's doing. He almost forgot his shoes. What's that mean for the RNC and the DNC? It means we got another war, baby. We're back in it. It was a lock that Trump was going to win. Biden was too dead. The dude got shot. He did fight the power. Biden had to do it. He did it at the right time because Trump had some momentum. RNC speech is for what it was, which was bumbling and crazy. It was kind of Unitarian. He did try to bring it together for a little bit in the first couple half. So he could have actually done a little bit, bring more people into his fold. The people that haven't picked a team yet, which is crazy. So we got Kamala. She's doing great. And we've got Trump. And I think he may be too afraid to debate her. They're going to do it. He's not going to back down, but it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a swing for the fence. It will not be your average political debate. Things have changed. Politics in this shithole country for a while now. So it'll be a lot of jabbing. It'll be a lot of comedy. It'll be a lot of back and forth, tit for tat. He may call her ugly. It will go down, which will be fun to watch. Not good for our country, but fun to watch. That was an easy little rant, right? Dude got shot. Dude quit. Now we reset, and we got to get through November. They made a movie about a civil war. Let's hope and pray, baby. Who knows? Let's hope that I'll get to be playing that snare drum during the revolution. The next thing locally that I enjoy to talk about, and I think will be a big topic of this podcast for the first maybe year or two with all the construction in Henderson. Mother flipping roundabouts. We're in there. We got roundabouts. We're a European city. People are losing their damn minds. They think a nuclear bomb will happen if they go twice around the roundabout. People are already complaining. Every time I post something about social media, I got comments. And if you look at the comments on the actual official posts, oh my gosh, they are insane. People are losing their damn minds. I, for one, have been avoiding the construction. I did a little Hot Wheel track they got up here now with no guardrails. But what people are really worried about in front of North Middle School and Palmer's is the roundabout. I've never done a roundabout, I don't think, but I'm pretty sure you just go in a circle and then you yield out and merge into a different street. I'm sure there will be car accidents. There's already bad traffic on 2nd Street. You're already waiting in line. It's been that way forever. Henderson's roads are outdated. Henderson's roads were made for the 1970s, and we ain't got 1970s population anymore. Like my good buddy Austin said, it is a beautification project. Will it be headaches? Yes. Do we really need to spend the money on it? Probably not. People need jobs, and Mr. Beshear, Governor Beshear, needs to brag about something. So let these motherfuckers tear up the road. Let's get something new in Henderson. I, for one, am not going to be going around the roundabout anytime soon. If I'm stuck on it, I'll let you know in a further episode about how I feel when I went around it. The Olympics, right? Snoop Dogg is out there. He looks high as a motherfucker, carrying a torch. It's in Paris. And they have been going ham out there. First off, they were worried about the river. They got to clean the river up. So that was a big thing for a couple weeks. That actually, no, we're going to shit in the river. And then Macron was like, actually, me and some other people from Parliament, we're going to swim in the river. They actually did swim in the river before the Olympics, but they had cleaned it up pretty good. They also elected the most leftist prime minister they've had in a very, very long time. They thought that the fascist wave that has swept a lot of nations was going to happen in deep, dark Europe too. But no, they have a very leftist prime minister that this elected, and we're going to see. Obviously, they have done way better with African migrants than any other majority white European nation. We'll see. When it comes to the Olympics, I don't know. I haven't really been watching. We used to be an Olympic family. Me and my mom used to watch the Olympics. She used to say, oh, you could be a fucking gymnast. I didn't want to be a gymnast. But it is fun to watch. The big thing people have been talking about, Gojira. Gojira played the opening ceremonies in a friggin' castle with Maria Antoinette's severed head. There was blood and fire. Very heavy metal. Very rad. Everyone was talking about that. Way to go, Gayo Paris. Keep it up. Feel like if we can keep Europe on the left side of politics, we might be able to drag old America back. But we'll see. Me personally, in my life, my band, Sideways Lemonade Time, we are recording an EP, and I have been recording drums. It has been not as stressful as I thought it was going to be. Oh man, I was in my head. I had recorded punk demos before, recorded there and this and that. With the way that these people record now on the laptop, with the cut and the paste and the programming, I don't even feel like I need to be there. I was, though, and I understand that I'm going to get some drums on my own album. But I'm at this point now where I was like, oh, we're chopping and screwing so much that I don't even know where I'm at in the song, and I hope that that's a good thing. So that's where you just put trust in these little keyboard wizards, and I'm sure it's going to sound good. You know, what matters to me first, our singer sounds great, the band sounds great, and that we got a beat to dance to. That's all that matters to me. I get to keep recording, and I think that's going to be the really big fun part. Deadpool, we watched Deadpool, right? I watched it last night. It was the big thing. It's supposed to save the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It did what it was supposed to do. Hugh Jackman was fucking great, like always. All the cameos I knew about already. I watched spoilers. I don't give a fuck about non-spoiler. I knew it was going to be in the movie because I was on the internet. But they were still just as enjoyable. Jennifer Gardner fucking killed it. Forgot that she was beautiful. She was stabbing people with Ninja Turtle size. It was great. The movie did what it was supposed to. And it was a hard reset for a dying Marvel franchise universe. If they can nail the X-Men after what they've done with this movie, I feel like the mouse will peel some more money off of Marvel IP. They said the word mutant like 80 times in this movie. They are wanting you to know that they fucking own them now. And that's a good thing. The mouse has got money, and the mouse can make an R-rated movie. To finish up this long-winded rant, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get politics. You're going to get Henderson news. You're going to get fandom. You're going to get shit about me. Maybe one day we'll go deep and dark. Who knows? This is the first podcast, folks. This is the first rant. We're all going to grow, and we're all going to work, and we're going to figure this out. I want to do one podcast a month for now, YouTube, and figure it out. Grow an audience. We're going to have Henderson politicians, business owners, band members from all the local bands. Anything I can do to drag motherfuckers in here and talk to me for about an hour. With all that being said, my first guest is one of my best friends since we were teenagers. One of the best drummers I've ever met. I know I wouldn't be the drummer I am today without him. He goes by Auggie Nelson. I'm going to try not to cut you off. Okay?
I don't even care, man.
I'm going to try to let you talk. I'm trying not to interrupt. But I do want to, keep it going.
Bring it the fuck on, Baron.
On the first inaugural podcast of the Henderson Beat podcast is one of my best friends and one of the best drummers in Henderson County, Auggie Nelson. I've known Auggie since we were 13. I was probably 14. You were probably 13. I went to North and you went to South. So we didn't really meet up until the end of middle of our middle school career.
Yeah, we were like freshmen.
Yes. Or maybe 8th grade.
Well, it's like
because
the
of
end
heavy
of 8th
metal.
grade going into freshman year.
I know that you're younger than everybody else. You were always younger. So how old are you now? What year were you born? And where were you born?
I was born here in Henderson.
Uh-huh.
I finally caught up to everybody. I'm 38 now.
Yeah, you were 86, right? Or 87?
86.
You're 86.
I was always 10 years younger than everyone. So,
I know, yeah.
You know,
You were bigger than everybody, but still a year younger than everybody.
3 feet taller.
Yeah. But you were born here in Henderson,
Yeah.
the hospital. Gail is your mom. Dad's name Michael, or am I making that up?
William Michael.
It's a Methodist hospital.
Yeah, I got an older sister.
And that's no other siblings, though.
No, I got an older half brother.
Oh, I forgot about that. You have an older half brother.
Dave, what's up, man? If you listening?
That's the whole family. The reason why I wanted you on the first podcast, other than we've been best friends forever, and I love you, the reason we're here is because of drums.
All day.
All day. As you know, the Henderson Beat podcast is a play on words because I'm a drummer, and it'll have some news in it. I want to keep this a drum-centric podcast and a little bit of news, too. You've been playing drums, I think.
Well, I probably started about 12.
Which would be in what? We were in 6th grade. You didn't play drums in band. You played...
Killer also, might I add. Well,
I had to be in 8th grade.
did you ever play with Kyle and Tim?
Yes.
But it was before, it was Rambunctious Youth.
Before.
What were you called before Rambunctious Youth?
Well, we were called 7 Midget Lane.
7 Midget Lane is
And
it?
before that, we were called
Yeah.
On Go Solo.
So when I met you, it was 7 Midget Lane.
Feel like my memory is...
Cause I remember that because I had the 1-lane bridge sign. And I still have that 1-lane bridge fucking sign with a silent film star sticker on it. And if you fucking flip on the black light, it glows in the dark.
This is how I remember us meeting. I knew of you, just like everybody knows of Auggie. Everyone knew of you, even though we went to North and I hung out with the metal kids. Chris Smith, he knew you. So I knew of you through Chris
That's
Smith.
a guy I haven't seen in fucking forever.
He had a song or a limerick about Auggie is my doggy. Auggie is my doggy. One of the first times I remember had to have been 8th grade, because we were 13 or 14, and it was me, Kyle, and Tim, for sure. Tim was definitely hanging out with you and Thomas, and we went to the basement. It was first time I had been there, and it was Mile 13 practice.
I feel like whenever y'all came, we were actually recording a fat demo.
But I remember Donnie's Shoe, the song Donnie's Shoe.
Kings of Crappy Punk.
And it was, that was like, it blew my mind. I was like, this is an amazing punk rock song. And you had the double Tama kit. It was brand new. I remember it was new. You had double bass drum, double Tama kit. You were in that back room of the original jam space in your basement. It filled up the whole back section. They all stood in front of you, and then there was a little spot. And then there was Skinhead Jerry's little room. And I remember, Donnie's Shoe, and maybe you're right, maybe in my mind I remember them clicking on and off a tape, but...
no, I think y'all came, I think we were doing Kings of Crappy Punk.
And I remember Tim was like...
Back when we were doing it.
Tim was like so... We were all of us, I still am, but he so needed the validation of like, you got to hear our song. Like, we do this too. And I remember, I don't know if it was this practice or we came back another day, but maybe I'm putting them together in the same day, but I remember you let me play the drums, your drum set, and it was big. Kyle and me and Tim played a couple Rambunctious Youth songs. I don't think we were Rambunctious Youth yet. We were just, everybody was like, hell yeah, and that, I remember that's the friendship of Model 13, Rambunctious Youth.
Yeah, that's when y'all came over and rocked it out.
And your fucking gold snare drum. But that was later, right?
I don't want to fucking talk about the gold snare drum.
That was a huge snare drum.
I still have fucking nightmares about that thing went.
So let's talk about Model 13 for a minute, because that's how I got to know you. You have big fluffy blue hair. You had a moped. Maybe Zach Turner didn't even have a car yet.
No, for sure.
everybody walked. We were still in middle school. Everybody walked everywhere. Model 13 was once spiritual maintenance, right?
That's like when Zach and Kevin were going to this church.
But you were still the drummer, though, right?
Well, yeah, I played drums just for the hell of it, but
and then
I
they
wasn't
had
attending the church.
It was like an MXPX kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you guys changed the name, and you had edgier songs. It was still like the same band. So when did you start playing with Kevin and Zach then?
Oh, I don't know. I think I was in.
You were 13, right? 12, 13?
No, I was 13. And I met Kevin at school. I had some Pantera. Yeah, at South. I had some Pantera album covers and like Slipknot album covers and Rancid album covers, like Shove, your binder. He saw those and he was like, "What's up, man? You like this shit?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I play drums." And back then, I really sucked and whatever, but fuck yeah. Me and Kevin just linked up and that's when we started playing.
And then Zach and Thomas came later, right?
Oh, yeah. We met like over at Thomas's. I met Zach, I think through Jeff Sliwick even.
Yeah, Jeff Sliwick.
I think that's maybe even how I met Zach. I met them both at the same time, but we just said, "Hey, we're starting a band.
They used to do BMX,
be in it?"
Right? BMX back in the day.
I know they rode four-wheelers.
And four-wheelers.
Yeah, I think they rode bikes too. I know Zach was always good on a bike.
Yeah.
Could never keep up with that son of a bitch.
Yeah. Definitely punk rock. Like.
Punk is shit.
Yes, definitely fastcore type punk rock. But you had a different way of playing that fastcore beat that was more hardcore on the nose. Like you were right on the one. You were.
Well, I fucking played like, most people just do.
Instead
like
of back on the and, you were more on the one. You were more attacking.
I was just like a fucking staccato fucking 1, 2,
Probably
3,
from
4,
heavy
1, 2,
metal,
3,
right?
4. Well, I don't know. I did it a lot in silent film stars too. I did a lot of staccato hi-hat work when in all actuality.
Because I
looking back, I would have just fucking rode them bitches open and fucking thrashed it a lot harder. But hey, I was 15.
It took me a while to learn how to copy that.
Hey, I'm
obviously
still learning.
I watched you and I learned so much. But
well, you gotta learn how to lower them goddamn cymbals.
No,
that's the only thing.
Yeah,
let's
not. We'll talk about that later. People are still pissed about it every show I play, but that's their problem. They're weak.
No, man. If that's how you play like it.
So you were playing in the South band. I was in the North middle school band, but you were playing saxophone, French horn, and basically whatever. And
I did a little trumpet work.
I remember you. I joined the winter drum line at one point, and you and Sully came, I think.
Yeah, I was supposed to do the marching line.
And I feel like...
as far as drum line and marching band, but then they tried to put me on the horn section, so I just said F this and quit.
And you just quit, yeah.
Yeah, but we showed up and I did a couple stints.
And I remember that too, because you were more like free-spirited. I was still a little bit... I was free-spirited in the way I acted, but I wasn't like... my mom would beat my ass, like if I went out there and rode a fucking moped at 12 o'clock in the morning. Like you had more freedom than a lot of us. And God. You were already, even though you were younger, but you were already bigger, and I felt like you already knew more shit. It felt like than all of us kids. We were all kids.
I was around a lot of older people when I was younger.
Well, I think we all were, but
it helped. I still didn't know jack shit because I still don't know jack shit.
Let's talk about that.
I did have some freedom, though.
Yeah,
my mom worked third shift, so when your parents are at work all night, it's a lot easier to fuck off and fuck around.
Let's talk about that Big Tama kit for a minute, because
the Big
I
Tama
remember.
Kit. Man,
I feel like when I came there were still boxes in the basement. That's how new it was. It was. It was
I
green.
had one that when I bought it, it was all together. But then the second Tama kit to match, I had to put that together screw by screw in the basement, and I think you guys all came over later that day.
So,
because I wanted to
you
show
already
it
had a kit, though.
I had a kit, and then I bought a separate kit
to add
and put it together, and then put those together, and then I called everybody over because I wanted to show that bitch off.
And you had 2 bass drums, 2 pedals, no double bass shit.
No, that shit back then, that was.
And you were the first drummer I ever
pedals.
saw. You were, obviously, we're from a small town, and we've both been in the music scene a long time, and we know each other. But you were at this point, as a 14-year-old, brand new drummer, just getting into punk rock and metal and stuff. You were the first person I saw that could do things with one foot and not do double bass. And maybe that's where we're from, because we come from the late 90s, and like double bass wasn't as big.
Exactly. Well, even when
because now you can go see
was using it, it was for
you could go see a funk band now and they have a double bass pedal. When you were doing it, yeah, you had 2 bass pedals, but a lot of times you would still just do 16th with 1 foot.
Yeah, I was doing all the work I could with 1 foot, but
yeah, and that's the first person I ever saw that was like, oh, you can just do 1 pedal. You don't have to have 2 unless you're doing 30-second. Or doubles on the kick, which
I don't know. I've seen some of these videos here lately of these people with their pedal work, and I'm like, holy shit! I don't even want to be that good with the pedal. I don't need that kind of fucking power and precision.
And it sounds.
I'm not playing blast beats anyway, you sons of bitches. Learn a groove.
Speaking of the recording again, and they trigger it, and it sounds terrible. It sounds like you're hitting a penny on a wooden floor. It just doesn't sound like a bass drum. Let's talk about that other room. Word on the street. My lore of you was that you learned how to play drums from Skinhead Jerry and Casey James and the Flames.
So what it was is
Skinhead Jerry taught you your first couple beats.
Jerry had drums, and I would go and I would tap on his shit, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I always knew that I loved the drums. Watching music videos as a kid, I'd see people playing the drums, Bonham, fucking, all kinds of shit. So
Tommy Lee.
Yeah, just all the videos I would see when I was younger, everybody playing the drums. I was like, I want to bang the shit out of those. But anyway, Jerry
But he had the first drum set you saw.
Yeah, so actually I give it up to Jermaine. Jermaine, he had the first, he was on the corner and when he was in 6th grade, so it was a long time ago. I ain't hating. He was out there playing the snare drum, and the homie that lived across the street was playing the saxophone, but, the snare groove is what got me, and I've always told him that, if you would have been playing the snare that day, I might not even play the drums today. Something about that. But yeah, the first full kit I played, it was Jerry's, and then I went with my uncle while his band recorded an album in a studio at Owensboro called, Sunlight Studios or some shit. They were finishing their mastering, and I just went into the side room where, it was soundproof and shit, and just picked up drumsticks and literally just taught myself to play drums
you're
that
12
day.
Or 13 here?
In that room, probably was maybe almost 13. Kind of went into the soundproof room of the recording studio while they were mixing in the other room, and I just literally played the shit out of those drums until I figured it out.
That's awesome. Let's talk about, I guess, the high school year. You bowed out of high school pretty early, right? Everybody that went to high school still knew who you were, still hung out with you, still partied with you.
Well,
and I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking everyone knew who you were, to the point where you don't even go to school here, but you might see him at Augie's house later, or Auggie might show up to the trailer house later, or over here, there, or that. You might, even though you didn't go to high school really. It makes sense. I mean,
I just known everybody, always been cool with everybody.
Because I remember, we would get out of school and we would go to your house.
I mean, when school let out, everybody knew where to go.
Yeah.
And for those
but you had already been awake for several hours just sweeping the ground.
Also, motherfuckers would skip school and they would know where to go too.
That's true. That's true.
Some bitch ain't going.
That's true. That's true. Shit. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I still remember this shit right here. Sorry, man, if I put you out there for that. So, we're walking up, and I said, fuck, man, I'm going to get in-house. Thomas Rector looked at me, he goes, man, if you get in-house, just skip school. And just go the next day and then act like nothing happened.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
It'll be all right, man, trust me. So I did that, and it really did. It worked 3 times into my first year there, my sophomore year of county. It worked. And then next thing you know, they started calling me to the office and shit and giving me in-house. So then instead of going in-house, I would just sneak out the back door and go to my car and leave.
Well, at one point, didn't you just decide, well, I want to go back? And then you went back and they're like, dude, you just can't go back. We stopped putting you on the books.
Yeah, I just was driving around and I'd been doing whatever, and I was hungry, so I pulled up at school. When I walked in, I was like, I'm just going to charge my lunch and get a free meal real quick. So I put my lunch coat in, and I get my food, I eat my food, I come out in the hallway, and they're like, Michael Nelson come to Daryl Diggle's office. So, I had to go to Blue Unit Principal, and they were like, hey, so we noticed you put your lunch coat in. We just want to make sure it wasn't fraud, but, we took you out of the school system because you just skipped 63 days in a row. You can't miss that many days and just expect to show back up. Did you? And I was like, yeah, I was just
why not
hungry, so I came in to eat. They were like, well, we took you out of the school system because we thought you moved. And I was like, I don't even know if that's legal. I'm only 16. And they were like,
truancy's just like, we just don't care.
They said that the truancy officers came for like 3 weeks and they couldn't find me, so.
All right, so speaking of 321 South Elm Place, so much happened. Obviously, so one thing I don't know is, when did you move there? Did you move there as a kid? What grade school were you at? Did you have any other houses, or you just lived there forever?
When I grew up, like my first house, I guess that I lived in was on Washington Street by my grandma's in the old coal mine houses, and then I think fairly, a short time after I was born, we moved up here. I lived at 435 Powell Street. I can remember walking to McDonald's by myself when I was like a 3-year-old kid because it was right around the corner, like because I was fat and hungry.
Yeah, fish fillet with extra
You could actually like let your kid on the loose back then.
Yeah.
But anyway, also it was like the size of a 7-year-old. But so from Powell Street, in 1991, in January of 1991, we moved to 321.
Damn. So basically your whole life.
Yeah, I mean pretty much. Yeah.
That's
I was like 5 or 6.
That's crazy.
I moved there.
One thing we will say about 321 is the basement is where it happened.
The basement of that place is the different dimension of this world.
And what's crazy about it is how much you had changed it over the years. Because I remember when we were younger, and like I said, we went down there, and Model 13 was practicing in the basement, and it was in like a back corner. But now if I were to think and I were to go into the basement, you would have to tell me like, well, this is where that was, this is where that, because we had so many different hangout spots.
Well, we just rearranged a lot.
And so many different living areas in the basement
all of us
over those years.
We'd fuck this couch up, we'd get a bigger couch, so we'd have to move it over here. Like the time we threw the couch down the steps and just fucking shoved it in the back room and left it there.
Your house was a mecca of the misfits. Like, just was. Like Thomas's house obviously was too for our generation. And Kyle's house to a certain extent when Pam was gone, But your house was like number one top dog. Dude, Auggie is my doggy dog house. Like you had, like you said, you had old motherfuckers in there, young motherfuckers in there. You had the internet access to the whole fucking Sand Lane area over there. I'm guessing you were the only one that had fucking dial-up for years.
I wasn't connected past Fair Acres, but
everyone I know used your computer to do everything they had to do in the early internet or late 90s internet. We were always allowed to get a little loud, and you always had your friends there.
Yeah.
And then to a certain point, I know from you telling me that it got old, you didn't like it. People would be there and you weren't there, you didn't like that. It got to a point of like a Bam Margera situation where like people, I don't know these fucking people anymore. Like, why are you here? Why is there so many people? This is my house. And I'm sure it ebbed and flowed where sometimes you liked having the company and sometimes you didn't have it, like it.
If I didn't want anybody there when I came home, I sure as hell would let everybody know to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Who's gonna bitch when they come home and there's somebody sitting on their couch rolling up a blunt?
Yeah.
When you get home and somebody's rolling weed up, okay, you can stay. Happening a lot.
I feel like other than like, we had a lot of good fucking time, fun, partying and stuff, and scheming and all the debauchery. But I feel like a lot of art came out of that place, and I think a lot of it had to come like through you. Not just like music, but you're like hella talented at computer stuff. Like you're hella talented at fixing things up. Like you're a Renaissance man. You're a jack of all trades, and you've always just been hella smart. It just seemed like all the early websites, all the communication, you letting people connect there led to so much more stuff.
Yeah, I'd get everybody there and I'd build everybody a website. I'd build all the bands that wanted a website. I mean, like I wasn't as proficient as
It's 1999, 2000,
No, I was learning everything from Photoshop from Matt Glick, so it's like I was seeing what he was doing and I was just copying that shit. I would sit there and watch him at the computer for hours when we were doing Silent Film Stars. So I mean.
Well, I always say, Auggie, you fuck around, throw a computer out the window.
Well, that's
because he has done that before. But. Gail, everybody knows Gail that will hang out there. Michael McDonald's, that's the funniest thing that ever happened to me. But I don't know much about your dad. When did your dad pass away? How old were you when you passed away?
So I was 3. Yeah.
Okay, I knew you were young, but I didn't know you were that young. For some reason, I thought maybe you were 7. And I remember you showing me a photo of him. I remember in my mind I could see your dad.
Yeah,
because you showed me a photo.
He's a gnarly dude.
With big hair, he looked 70s out.
Dude.
But did he play music or anything or do?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he played all the shit.
Yep. But
I don't know that my dad was a drummer or anything, but he definitely played like guitar and bass.
And him and Gail
wrote ridiculous songs. Him and my uncle.
Yeah, him and Gail were a little hippie-ish kind of people.
Oh.
A little bit.
Fuck yeah, they were
and
hippie as shit. My dad was hippie more along the lines of probably did a little more, illicit drug use.
Yeah.
Gail was just like the fucking sober hippie that was like a smart flower child.
And so I know Gail,
went
obviously.
to school for like musical therapy and ended up being like a registered nurse. So
yeah, your mom's a nurse and she taught out the community college.
Oh yeah.
And she's been a nurse for a long time. But she'd always lived at the house and with you, but she wasn't around much because she was always at the hospital.
Yeah, she was working. I mean, when she
wasn't working at the hospital, she was
at the college.
Teaching.
Yeah. That's why I had a lot of freedom, and we had a lot of
freedom. Yeah.
We had a lot of room to make noise.
Yeah. And she was always super supportive of Auggie.
The most parents
she
wouldn't
was
let their 15-year-old kid go out like summer after school and say, "Here, see you later. Go play with the band."
Travel all over.
Well,
I think our generation was the last of the latchkey kids, where we could just go out and be out until the lights came on.
My mom couldn't even fucking track me on my cell phone back then.
We didn't have cell phones. I remember my mom giving me a cell phone. I gave it back to her. I said, "I don't want you to know where I'm at.
Don't use this fucking thing in case the world's ending."
Yeah.
Like, that was the one phone we had back in the day.
But I remember your mom always, obviously, being there for you, which obviously is there for letting us, be there and be fucking off and stuff. I don't ever remember a time where you were like, "Hey, everybody got to go because my mom said." It would be more like, "Everybody got to go because I want you motherfuckers out."
Yeah, no, Gail, I mean, as long as she knew, she trusted me to keep everything in check. And plus, she could sleep through fucking anything anyway.
And all in all, as we're almost pushing 40 now, you weren't mad about having a party house. You accepted having a party house.
I learned a lot from having a party house.
Okay, all right. And then
I think I learned a lot more than your average person.
I will say
that also helped me navigate other party houses that I hung out at.
Exactly, that's true. And you were always responsible. I always felt like you always kept your head on your shoulders. You were never the guy that was the most fucked up ever. Never.
Well, I was going to experiment, but I was going to make sure I still knew how to fucking have a conversation. And
I remember you actually, you always helped people. Tried to help people, like if they had an issue with substance abuse. You're doing wrong. You're not going to tell them to stop, but you were always at least letting them know, "Hey, you're fucking up."
Well, a lot of my friends got to talk about, doing things in excess.
Exactly. Moderation.
It's up to that person to choose what they want to do,
Yes.
And to all my people that went out and did their shit and got right in the world. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that for everybody.
Let's talk about you drumming in bands over the decades. Your first, we talked about Model 13, right? And Spiritual Maintenance, same kind of deal. That was Zach, Kevin, and then Zach and Kevin continued with you.
Then we added Thomas into Model 13.
But then Thomas left, and then you guys continued because you guys played out at Kyle's house for a while with us, and it was still Model 13. You guys, that's why you guys still got to play the last Mullet show.
Yeah, we were still doing Model 13, which was, a pretty big honor to be able to do the Mullet show for some, fucking 14-year-old kids to be asked to do that. That was pretty tight.
Especially how big the show was. And then
a shitload of other people.
And then they asked you to play the drums
to do that.
So that Justin could sing.
Oh yeah, but I fucking beefed that, so we'll forget that even happened.
I remember that day.
You give a fucking kid that's played for like 20 people a crowd that big and a song he's heard like 10 times, but in practice, one
It wasn't
time
their
out
most
in the
popular
car.
song, to be fair. I remember walking out. So Mesker 17.
They made a little kid's dreams
and
come
we're in
true.
the woods. And I remember, maybe you were in Zach's Beretta, I don't remember, but you were listening to the song to learn it.
Yeah.
You were just doing that because it was the heavy part of when he gets his nuts dropped, And it does that Metallica beat, but just before Tom. And I remember you sitting out there and doing that. And I was like, yeah, he got it. He's got it. And probably you were just like, I'm going to learn that part and that's it.
No, well, I mean, when it came down to it, I had that part.
It is a weird off-time song, though.
Well, it wasn't necessarily that. It was
and the singing is kind of wacky.
I couldn't hear.
But I just remember in my mind going out there and seeing you.
Every fucking drummer, I couldn't hear, man. I was off the beat.
It didn't matter. It wasn't about you. It was about.
I loved it.
It was about
fucking up every second of it. I was proud to be able to fuck it up.
Butt lip getting to sing. And so you had Model 13, and then you had Sidewalk. Wait a minute, Walk Don't Run.
Well, that was Thomas, and then went off to do that.
But you were in that band after Zeb, right?
Well, that's when they did it. Shut Up Elizabeth. I did a little bit of drumming for that, but
you were in Shut Up Elizabeth.
Yeah, I did Silent Film Stars after Model 13.
It went Model 13, Silent Film Stars right after.
Yeah.
You had to because.
And then I did the Shut Up Elizabeth shit after that.
Because you were, you got to go.
Also, in between then, we did I remember we did a band called Final Round with me, Zach, Kevin, and we had Bradley singing and playing guitar.
I remember Final Round. So Silent Film Stars
was down at the Les Maisons du Café.
Silent Film Stars was a big deal for you, I feel like, because you got to go and do bigger and better things.
Well, I got to play shows around, and I got to play with people who are a hell of a lot more experienced than the people I was.
At that point, we had like a fun little rivalry of punk bands where it was Rambunctious Youth that were still in high school, and then Silent Film Stars that was like out of high school, but it's the same period and playing the same kind of stuff, like pop punk, early 2000s stuff. You were the drummer of that one band, and I was the drummer of the other band.
Yeah, but y'all.
And then we had all the extra people, which were like the girlfriends and the friendships. For me and you, it felt like we know everybody. We were never I never looked at you as competition ever. I looked at you as like, I'm gonna steal his cymbal stands. I'm gonna take what he's doing musically, and I'm gonna make sure that he never gets his stuff back.
Great artist.
That's all I never ever thought like, oh man, their drummer's better than me, or their song, their 4-chord punk song sounds like ours, or anything like that. I never ever thought that way, and I always felt like we got to share a fan base, but it was also splintered.
There are people that had their favorites.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody listened to both of them, so who gives a shit? We were both winning.
I remember we played a mill show. It was Silent Film Stars and Rambunctious Youth, and it was outside. Speaking of the Mullets, I feel like the Mullets came to that show and they had not been a band for a little bit. It was an outdoor show and we played on the fucking deck of the mill. It's the only time we ever did that.
Yeah, I remember that
and
shit.
It was hot, and then at this time, we were sharing a cymbal stand. I would take it, you would use it, and then I would take it back from you. But it was definitely your shit. It was not, I didn't own it. And I remember this show specifically because it was a band, probably us, and then Silent Film Stars closed it out. And like all the girls came, like everybody's girlfriends and everybody's girlfriend's friends came. So it was like an army of gals, the Rambunctious ladies and the Silent Film Star X. And there was a bunch of people there. I remember it was a good show. But I waited when you were tearing down until the end, and I remember walking up there, just grabbing that cymbal stand, folding it up, and just taking it to the car while I watched you break everything down. And I was like, and I still have it. I still use it every show.
Fucking
the screw is stripped, but I found the right nut that fits on there.
I'll say I'll find you another one, dude, just so you can keep using it.
So you had the Hero band. I like that band. You guys wore white for some reason. Silent Film Stars, where you got to go on tour for a little bit. You got to go to Florida, do some Midwest shows. That was fun. You got to play bars, and you weren't old at all. You were like 15, 16
well, we
maybe.
had a lie, but it's okay.
You were doing, and I remember a show at the Rev, Silent Film Stars, and you guys covered a Tom Petty song, early Silent Film Stars. Maybe just had started the band.
But we were doing American Girl.
American Girl. And I remember being up close.
And we were doing Boys of Summer, too, before the fucking Ataris put it out.
It's true.
Like, before the fucking Ataris put that shit out, we were doing that shit first.
I remember the Tom Petty song, and I remember watching you hit them 16th notes. And I was like, dang, dude, he's like a proper pop punk drummer now. Like, because before, you were fucking thrashy. You were heavy. You're probably one of the best heavy metal drummers
Well,
you're friggin' great at that. And I know you're more into prog and shit. And when you throw down on some fucking metal, you are great at it. But then when I saw that night, and I was like, damn, the lyrics and the faster pace. Augie's like a proper pop punk drummer
They
now.
probably weren't meaning for it to sound that fast. I probably just pushed the tempo that fast because either I was like,
So Shut Up Elizabeth was
Red
after?
Bulls or fucking just had anxiety in general, pushing the tempo way too fast.
I'm sick of hearing you play too fast.
All right, well, I forgot I was talking to you.
I'm so sick of
Somebody
guitar
who
players
also
saying...
played the damn tempo 10
and then
times
like
too
they
fast.
blame me or you when it's really... You're the guitar player. You can help a little bit, slow it down a little bit. Like, we could go together slowing it down. You're looking at me like you can't strum a little slower.
All I ever heard was, bet you can't play it faster, bet you can't play it faster. So, I mean, eventually I just got to the point to where it was like, play everything as fast as humanly fucking possible and
I
leave
understand
nothing
it
else
now that
behind.
I'm older, but I still can't stop.
I still play
Shut
fast.
Up Elizabeth was after?
Walk Don't Run was what they named the band first, and then they changed it to Shut Up Elizabeth.
Okay. Thomas had terrible band names, but it's okay. Scott Miller was in the band. McCardle. And I feel like you have always been blessed with great bass players. And me to a certain extent, but let's talk about that. You had Kevin, which
Kevin's a good bass player.
Great bass player.
Fuck yeah.
You had McCardle, amazing bass player, humble about it. In the blues band, Bruner, solid.
Oh, baby brother, yeah.
Very
man.
solid.
He's a funky little
very
bastard.
funky.
He's a funky
You've
little
always
bastard.
been blessed to have a very, very good rhythm section. Even when you're playing with John is such a talented rhythm player.
Yeah, well, John can... Actually, when I first started playing with John, he joined the band playing bass. I mean, and it worked out pretty well.
That was Hemmed Up, your blues band.
This is when we were Hey Kid.
Oh, you had Hey Kid as the... the hardcore band.
So, no, Here Be Monsters was the hardcore...
Damn, you've been in a
Hey
lot of
Kid
bands.
was like the pop punk band. That was Zach and Kevin, and then we brought John in. That's when I met John in 2009, and he came in playing bass.
So Hey Kid was a pop punk band. John joined it.
And then we did Here Be Monsters when it was me, Zach, Kevin, John, and then we got his brother Wes singing.
Yeah, Here Be Monsters, a very talked about band, even today, in the local hardcore and metalcore community. And it's only certain random people that were younger then that saw y'all then that have grown into.
I didn't even know people still knew what the shit that was.
No, I mean people see Wes at shows and they bring it up. Yeah, well, you don't go. You still see him at shows, but. Well, I guess I didn't. I remember hearing it. I guess, but
no, it's fucking thrashing. It's fast. It's in your face.
Yeah.
It's got. I mean, all the songs were short as shit, but also in with that fast.
I remember one more, Auggie. You played with American Idol girl. You played in the country band.
Oh yeah.
And they tried to make you wear a uniform.
I had to wear a Johnny Cash shirt. Well, I guess I chose to.
You've done it all, other than ska. I mean,
I'd love to. I wish I could give me a snare tightened up. We do some real big fish in this bitch.
And that's one thing that I know that I took from you over the years, other than playing real big, because you're big. But,
yeah, that's some of the reason your cymbals are 10 feet high. I know.
But I liked that you had hip-hop groove, and I mean, Blink-182 was around, and Travis Barker gets a lot of credit for that. You had a lot of, 3 6 Mafia underground rap stuff before any of us knew about it, and you turned us on to it. A lot of the trap beats and stuff like that people do now, I was seeing you do in the early 2000s. I stole How to Be Fast and hit heavy.
I was doing it fast and shit, but
also
a
lot of your groove work
in there, yeah.
A lot of your groove work is very hip-hop oriented. I think that more so than obviously listening to the way that pop punk changed because of Travis, you gave that to me. I'd get bored if I were to. I would still love to be in a punk band and just do straight 4/4.
Oh, dude.
But I'd have to throw a breakdown in there.
You got to.
If you go to a hardcore show today, brand of hardcore that the kids like Turnstile now, it's all that beats that you were playing back then. Shoom ka ka, shoom ka, shoom ka ka, shoom ka. Every song is bouncy. It's not hardcore still has that stuff, but the kids that like it now, like that Grow Blind band from Evansville, Turnstile, a lot of it is very, very bouncy hip hop.
It's easier to just hit that snare and then come off of it and bounce off and go to your next thing.
And a lot of that, I think, a lot of it kind of comes from Joey Jordison style, all his ghost notes and all his breakbeat kind of stuff. But breakbeat obviously comes from hip hop. So, well, let's talk about, since we're in drums, let's talk about our buddy Zach. Yeah, no. Zach is not here with us anymore. But Zach was one of the other, I would count, original, very talented Henderson drummers.
Oh, he was the most talented.
He was a musical savant in every instance of the word, where, you know, he can't control how crazy he is. He can't control how crazy his mind works. And when you could sit there and play piano with one hand and drums with the other hand, to be able to use your left and right brain like he could do, not only with, like, to play chess and everything where it does take your left and right brain and that savant type stuff, he could do. Learning all the jazz stickings and way to hold your drumsticks that really came back. This kid
by like 12, 13 knew every Dream Theater album that had been released, like drum for drum. Like he even the parts that were overdubbed by Mike Portnoy, he was like, you know what? I took the parts he overdubbed and learned how to do them with this hand while I was doing it with this hand. So I mean, you know.
Just talk a minute about
super fucking good.
About how much he meant to you as a friend and a drummer. Because to me, as a drummer, he meant a lot to me because
I told you, Jermaine was one of the reasons that I started playing drums, but Zach was definitely one of the reasons that I followed through and did get a drum set. Because I would go over there and hang out with him, and he would just be playing all this shit, and it just blew my mind. You know, when you hear somebody play drums and you just smile because you don't know what else to do.
Didn't he have his first drum set was like a red drum set?
Yeah, it was almost like purple.
Yeah.
Sort of like, you know, Portnoy's Purple Monster, only not quite. He had all the roto toms, and then, you know, all the toms. Of course, he had the 18-inch red pearl floor tom that didn't match that went on there.
Awesome.
His double bass pedal and all his cymbals and shit. Just playing Dave Matthews, Carter Beauford, like lick for lick when we were 13.
And you guys kind of looked after each other. But when you were adults, as adult men.
Oh yeah, I mean we were buds, you know.
Yeah.
So
like if he needed you, he helped you.
I'd come through for him, and he'd come through.
But as we know, you know, he had a lot of issues and struggles in his family life, and his personal life, and his mental health. He would still always be there for you, and vice versa. And that's one thing that I always loved about you guys' relationship. That it was more of like a brother type thing. It got to the point where like maybe Zach was paying you to mow the grass, but Zach maybe needed you more than you needed him. You helped him keep it straight.
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
I did the best I could to help him.
Let's talk about...
Sometimes you're not at the right place at the right time.
No, you're not. And things happen. Let's talk about... so you bought a house out there in the country, a lot of land. I know for you, because, like you said, you've been living at that fucking house since 1991. It was a big deal for you. And really, you only had a few other apartments. And obviously, you're with Jay Gipp. I know how, like, happy you are to be out there with her and your animals. And...
Oh, yeah, it's perfect.
And the land. It's not, like, too much. Perfect size house.
No, it's just enough.
I'm just so happy that you're out there.
Well, yeah, I'm happy that I was able to even come about it the way it happened. You know, I'm very, very, very fortunate. Yeah. To be able to even have a house. So, you know, have a roof over my head, I'm extremely thankful for it.
And I feel like, you know, as we're older now and, you know, we're not all out and about, everybody has families. Everybody knows Auggie and Jay Jay Gipp, they're going to stay out there at the house. They might come out every once in a while, but they're going to stay at the house.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
I'll just be at the house enjoying my rent, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You and Jay Gipp been together for a very long time.
I'll say about 17 years.
17 years. I know Jay Gipp from North and K-Row.
K-Row, yeah.
And she was a freak like the rest of us. That's what they used to call us back in the day. Freaks. The metalheads, the new metal kids.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, we love Jay Gipp. Maybe you could just talk about you don't have to pour your fucking heart out, but how happy that you guys are to have each other and your little piece of privacy. Because not everybody doesn't have that. Like, I got a little piece of privacy, but, you know, I just got a cat. I ain't got
Yeah, dude, you did just get a cat.
I just got a cat. It's shit on my blanket today.
Oh, man, no, it ain't no good.
It's okay.
We got to get you a kennel, man, so we can get that thing with the litter box in it so it'll get trained up.
No, I put the shit in the litter box.
But
But
no, dude, I'm truly probably better off than a lot of people. You know, I mean, just 17 years. Couldn't ask for anybody better to do it with, or I probably wouldn't have done it for 17 years. Yeah. Always loved it. Love my life there. Yep. So, and you know, plus she tolerates me and all my shit, and we've always had mostly all the same friends, so that helped too.
And I know that everybody loves you, Bo. I know that. ProMark drumsticks. What's the deal with them? What's the deal with ProMark?
Depends on which one you get, but I'll break any drumstick, so I don't give a shit.
I remember.
I do like ProMark. I believe it was fucking the black ones. Was it Hickory? Was the Hickory's the black?
You turned me on to the ones with the green one, but
the green ones were the fire back.
They used to be the ones that would turn to sawdust you could keep forever.
Yeah, whenever I was in Milo 13, I played the shit out of the 5A green ones, and then I was fucking breaking drum heads and getting blisters so bad that I switched to 7A drumsticks, which, in hindsight, like I picked up a set of 7A drumsticks the other day. Oh my God, dude, I felt like I was playing with number 2 pencils. I was like, what the fuck? I've been used to playing them Buddy Rich fucking signature sticks that are like 21 inches long and
I like a long drumstick.
Weird tipped, so they're like off. I don't know,
I like a weird tip. I like
can't fuck with the little fucking like 7A drumsticks. I just felt like I was playing with 2 fucking number 2 pencils that I couldn't do it.
This is the band I'm in now. Is the band that I've broke the least drumsticks in.
But the most cymbals.
No, really. I mean, I broke cymbals pretty evenly.
It's just consistently across the board.
So, was the Saturn your first car?
Yeah.
Right? That's your first car.
Yeah, my first car, the Saturn.
The Saturn, and I remember
with the
riding.
subwoofers. Oh my God, there was like 13 different sets of subwoofers I blew in that son of a bitch.
I remember riding with you.
That's no exaggeration.
And you were driving with your knee. It was stick shift. Driving with your knee, playing drums. I was like, man, I'm really unsafe right now.
Oh, no, I was probably eating a cheeseburger, shifting with a Coke in my hand, too.
And we were going somewhere far out. Maybe we were going to Audrey's house, but it was early times. And that car, you kept running somehow. I remember you hit the battery, and I don't know how you kept it running.
You just had to push it and dump the clutch, get it to fucking jump start itself.
And like you said, you and Jay Gipp have always had like the same friend group. And I will say this. Everybody knew you, and then everybody knew me because of the Mohawk, I guess. We had a huge friend group. I felt like you busted down all the barriers of cliques or
of
anything.
Shit, ever. I just talk to people.
And I felt like maybe it's not just you and it's all of us where I didn't pay attention because I was, like I said, even during the high school reunion, I felt like that we didn't really have a clique. I felt like everybody got along. I remember we played shows and we'd get the whole soccer team to come, or you had football players partying in your basement.
Yeah,
I don't ever feel like
cheerleaders fucking.
We had cliques. No, I felt like we just had a really big friend group, aka like the whole county.
Just had a shitload of everybody was acquainted.
I mean, you riding around listening to 3-6 with Lee all night or all day in the backwoods or in the back roads, and then you'd go to the trailer house, you go to a show, you'd go put your polo on. I always felt like we had a humongous friend group.
Well,
and I felt like just everybody knew you.
I'd run into somebody here, hop in the car, and next thing you know, we'd be over there.
But that's the whole thing.
I'd run into somebody else, and we'd be back over this way before you even knew it.
I think a lot of it had to do with your nickname, which is Auggie, because your real name is Michael Augustus Nelson, right? We all call you Auggie. That's how I was introduced to you. Auggie is my doggy, Auggie. I feel like that helped you because everybody's like, oh, I know Auggie. And if you didn't know Auggie, you didn't want to sound cool and be like, oh, I don't know Auggie. Yeah, you know Auggie.
Everybody knows
not,
Auggie.
If you didn't know him, you definitely
you don't
knew
know
where
Auggie,
he lived.
What's up? I'm Auggie.
Yeah. Me and you have worked together now at 3 jobs, right?
Shit,
Bagel Rama, Punk Rock Bagel Shop.
Fuck yeah.
We did Mr. B's.
Yeah, we did Mr. B's.
And we did the winery. And
winery.
How mature you've always been and how unmature you've always been has been a baffle to me. Because I personally struggle with like trying to cap it. I try to cap the crazy, but somehow you can ride that line of like super professional, super talk to anybody, great at presentation and being like, hey buddy, this and that. But you can also like say some crazy shit.
Well, that's because you just have to take every inkling of, oh, I'm not sure, and just fucking kick that in the ass and, hey, what's up?
I just feel like you've always been more outgoing
Look, I took my shit, like, my personality test. I don't remember if it's, like, what, INFJ, ENFJ?
Yeah. I'm an
like
INFJ.
So I'm a campaigner. So I'm a campaigner. So, fuck it, I'm 60-40 introverted, extroverted. So,
we know.
60% of the time, I'm like, fuck yeah, what's up? But then there's 40% of the time, I'm like, don't fucking look at me.
Yeah, I used to say that. I used to be like...
So, but that's mostly like 60% of the time I'm at work being an extrovert. Like, hey, what can I get for you? Hey, listen to this. I got this fucking
even when you were like...
pot, but 40% of the time I'm like, I ain't leaving my couch, bitch.
I've known you for so long, like... You really surprised me a lot of the time. Like, you're such a professional and such a bullshitter that you can just get it done. And at the same in the same breath, you're super compassionate as a person. So like you actually genuinely most of the time believe it.
Because I appreciate anything anybody does that I ask them to do. Well, everybody's got fucking problems, man. So let's not be shitty to each other.
Well, I'm working on that.
Let's just help each other where we fucking can.
You have been there like through thick and thin, forever, moving, anything, drum stuff. There's never been a time that I can remember where you haven't been there for me. And it's insane how good of a friend you've been.
Well, fuck, man, I can say
and I know that you've done that for everybody. It's not just me. Joey, obviously Jay.
All my friends, anybody I love, I'm going to do what I can for. But there's also, on the reciprocal, man, I bought that piece of shit car and I fucking passed Josh Barron. And then 30 minutes later, I call him. I'm like, hey, that new car I just called you flexing about, I need you to pick me up because it just broke down.
Oh, yeah.
And he's there for me. So,
Well, yeah, I'm going to be there for you.
I would have fucking still be stranded up the fucking side of the road if you wouldn't have brought me fucking to get gas that day. And then 20 minutes later when I called you again and said, hey, this fucking piece of shit broke again. So, I mean, it's all about the people you love, man.
It's been that way. It's been that way forever. And that's what I'm saying. Even people that I know you don't talk to all the time, like, if Kevin or Zach would pop out of the woodwork and say something, you're always gonna humor them, at least talk to them, be there for them, be friendly to them, and you would do that for fucking anybody, dude. Anybody from your past. Motherfucking Andrew Sigler walk up to you and be like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna talk to him."
Yeah, fuck yeah, Sigler, I would.
Anybody.
You hear that? Yeah, you got it. That's right, Sigler, I would for you too, bro. You already know.
That's just like who you are. But I think a lot of it has to do with you've kept your head on your shoulders, and even like sketchy party times we've had, you've saved the day. Random weird like fights or scuffles, you've always saved the day. You've always been able to be like, hey guys, chill the fuck out. No, you may be fucked up while you're doing it, but you're not as fucked up as they are.
No,
or you don't present like that.
We're gonna stop the bullshit so we continue to have a good time. I ain't out here to let nobody ruin me having a good time.
It's been good to talk to you, and I know that.
Well, yeah, dude.
I feel like
I don't get to talk to you like this, even though I see what do I see? Fucking 3-4 nights a week.
I see you at work all the time.
The conversations at work is, motherfucker, I just told you we had 4 salmon. Why the fuck are you asking me how many salmon we have?
Yes.
I meant lamb chop. Oh, well, we got 10 lamb chops.
I give it to Auggie because I love him the most. I can't give it to everybody. I got to give it to somebody. That's what Tommy said on Saturday. He said, don't be talking to her like that. You need her to keep singing in your band. And I was like, I'll get you your fucking chimichurri.
She can handle it. It's all good.
You're doing good. You got a job. You got a little farm. You got your animals. You got your girl.
Yeah.
You got a car that works right now.
Right now.
And you can play the drums in your house or in the garage. So
yeah.
Now, it's up to you. I feel like, the world is missing an Auggie Nelson metal-fronted band, drumming band, but it's up to you. If you want to do it, you can do it. I'm not going to force people to play music anymore. Let's talk about 42420. We've been here, 270. 270 soldiers, as the kids say in Evansville. So we're going to talk today about Scuffletown. I know you know about it. We talked about it earlier this week. But I'm going to pull up just a couple of things if we can go over it. From what I remember is Scuffletown was on the river, like Newburgh Beach area. Deep, though, like at the end of the county. Right across the way from Newburgh Beach, from the river, like you're going to Owensboro. I know that it still exists, but you can only go look at, like, foundations. There's no buildings there, but I guess they can still consider it a ghost town.
Huh. See, I ain't never been out Scuffletown.
I've never been there, but I know that people said that they found the foundations of Scuffletown.
Well, hell, we need to rebuild.
But it was an active ghost town for a long, long, long time. The buildings were standing there. It was a ghost town. It was Henderson's ghost town. Now, what makes it interesting is the Indian or Native American connection. It was a Cherokee refuge. So a lot of Cherokee people hung out in Scuffletown. And that's why there's a lot of Cherokee. But really, to be fair, I mean, there's a lot of mounds out there anyways because of Angel Mounds and across the river. A lot of them have been torn down because of farmland. Cherokee people were out there a lot, and that's why it had a bad reputation for being rough. It would get rough out there. That's why they call it Scuffletown. I know it had something to do with the Civil War, where Confederate soldiers went up the river and stopped at Scuffletown on the Green River, and they unloaded and they held that little piece of town for a little bit. As you know, Kentucky was a border state, so we had Union and we had Confederate soldiers in the war. So it says here, Scuffletown got its name from the flatboat people coming down the Ohio River. The Cherokee played stickball and had wrestling matches. Oh shit, backyard wrestling.
Oh shit.
Diecast Winky. Where
Cherokee.
Wrestling matches right outside the tavern and the trading post. The white people saw this as scuffling. Oh, there we go. According to the Annals and Scandals of Henderson County, which is a great book. Everyone from Henderson should own a copy, or your great aunt has one, someone underneath the hard candy. The people kept a good supply of liquor, and it became a rendezvous for the flatboat men. So as you know, back in the day, in the Ohio River and this river basin, people would have flatboats, and they would basically floating trailers.
Yeah, dude, they'd float them up to the little fucking shanty town down there by where fucking Merritt Drive is and shit now.
There used to be one
over by the
out there in Evansville, too.
Where the old water pump tank used to be.
So it said that often a general fight developed after several hours of drinking, and the place received the name of Scuffletown. So I was kind of right from what I thought. According to Wiki here. Scuffletown got its start in the 1800s when Jonathan Thomas Scott, a.k.a. Scott Fox, so Native American, supposedly the third son of the Shawnee leader Cornstalk. Cornstalk was part of the stuff that happened with Daniel Boone. They made a deal, and they kind of sold Kentucky out. The Shawnee leader Cornstalk married Polly Cooper. They had two sons, Jonathan Scott and Thomas Scott. So these are the people that founded Scuffletown. Around the time of the Cherokee removal, so I'm guessing they were still moving Indians around the country back then, which is terribly bad and wrong. He ran a tavern in the area, and that passing river traffic could easily access it. His great-great-grandson, Michael Manfox, still lives in Henderson. So this is the guy that I saw on the news.
Dude, he was on the news for some while.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got
hemmed over by your house.
Shit. Yeah, he got hemmed up on some shit.
He was a big deal about that bridge that's going to be over by your place, where they needed to move the bridge over because it was going to be on Native American burial grounds. So that's pretty cool. Their ancestry still lives here.
I think that might actually be just a little piece of a graveyard that's on 60, right there across from Wathen Lane. There's that tree line.
Yeah.
I think that's where the graveyard is. I don't think it's all the way deep out there by the bridge in the Green River State Forest.
This wiki did say something about that forest. It said, now it is the state forest. That's where Scuffletown would have been.
Oh, Scuffletown?
Yeah.
So they would have came up off the river in the area?
Mm-hmm.
So
out there back Green River Road number 2.
Yeah, I was about to say. So right there off Green River Road where it washed away then.
Yeah. It said there's a school built there in 1817, and the first church was 1830. So it's 1800s little town.
Wild to find them foundations.
So it says a tobacco stimmery was built. As we know, Henderson was huge for tobacco. It had a blacksmith. It had a bunch of pecan trees. That's pretty tight. And these people in the photo look pretty Cherokee to me, but they're wearing white people clothes because it's the 1800s.
Well, they ain't Melungeon, that's for sure.
They ain't Melungeon Dungeon. It said it had many Civil War activities. Sometime in the late 1800s, James Martin led a group of Cherokee refugees to the area from Fort Smith, Arkansas, to join his kinsmen living in the Scuffletown area. It's so weird to think about, the native people were here before everyone else. They moved around, and it's weird to think about them moving around because they had the whole place to themselves for so long. Yeah. Their ancestors were still spread everywhere across the country. The country was built around them, I guess, or on top of them, some would say. Oh, it says Scuffletown had a population of 71 people in 1868. Scuffletown had grown enough to get a post office, however. A 1913 flood greatly devastated the city, causing a mass exodus, and it never recovered. So I guess 1913
That's probably
when it went to a ghost town.
Probably when all the flooded trees grew up and turned into a forest.
It said then an even larger flood in 1937 decimated the little that remained, and it sat mostly deserted ever since. The area is now simply referred to as Scuffletown Bottoms, though it often goes unnamed. The rest is just about how they made it into a fish and wildlife area. It says that the Kentucky Oral History Sound Recording Project, produced in conjunction with the Kentucky Historical Society and the Downtown Henderson Project, has recorded conversations with former residents of Scuffletown. These recordings are housed at the Henderson County Public Library. You can go and listen to some old motherfuckers that know about Scuffletown. Every week I want to do a local scene roundup where I talk about local music, local bands, and the music that is playing in the tri-state area. So, just a little heads up on the format of each podcast. Each week, I hope to have a guest. Each week, I hope to rant and rave a little bit up front. Every week, I want to do a random Henderson fact or random Henderson history. So, first thing first, I got to give the big shout out to Damsels and Evansville shows. For a couple years now, they have been making big shows. Big time touring bands coming through. Every time a touring band comes to Damsels, they are impressed. The scene that they have fostered, and especially Damsels, is amazing. People come out. Now, the scene is big, the scene is wide, the scene has other venues and other clubs and other places. Damsels does it every time. Every time they kill it. Not only is the scene that they fostered wonderful there, but the team that they put together is amazing. The bands, every time they come, are blown away to play in Evansville, Indiana, in the tri-state area. They say it. They say it on live, on stage. Holy fuck, you don't know how special this is. We don't have this where I come from. It's important everyone keep going to the shows, especially the ones that are the big timers at Damsels. These bands are not like radio bands. These bands are regional and local acts through the country that are on tour that are trying to make money and sell t-shirts and get their name out there. These are obscure genre bands. They're heavy bands. They don't always get to have people at their shows reacting to their music like they do at Damsels. And that's what I mean when I say they're doing big time shows at Damsels. People are smashing into each other. People are having a good time, and it's good camaraderie. There's never any ill will or bad stuff happening for what it is in a small contained area. And it makes it look like the show's packed because it's so small. Other thing I want to talk about is Blood Tribe calling it quits. So Blood Tribe, if you've ever went to a metal show in the tri-state area in the past 20 fucking years, you have seen Blood Tribe and Tom Wilder. I was saying, I think 1369 used to be Blood Tribe. But Tom corrected me and said, yeah, two people from 1369 went on to create Blood Tribe. I was watching 1369 when I was a 14-year-old kid at Tattoo Express in Henderson at the local metal shows in the late 90s, early 2000s. Blood Tribe has always delivered when it comes to death metal music. For them to be quitting, I'm sure it's time, but I want them to understand that they deserve their flowers. I hope that the show that they're having at the Elm is going to be big. I hope that everyone comes to see them one last time. The band has had a lot of different members throughout the time, but pretty sure Tom Wilder has been there from the beginning. The little lead singer is a friggin' amazing vocalist and frontman. And if you're going to catch a show and it's in Henderson and you in the metal, go see the last Blood Tribe show. I want to talk about the local bands from Henderson, from the high school. I think maybe some of them graduated, some of them didn't. I mean, they're still high school kid bands. Cujo and Murderace have been destroying this local music scene. And maybe I'm biased because I'm from Henderson and we're on the Henderson Beat podcast, and they're from Henderson County as well, HCHS. I was in a high school rock and roll band when I went there. I know a lot of my other friends were too. And to see these kids still do it makes me so happy. I'm so proud of them. The talent of Murderace is actually annoying. They're actually too good at their instruments. Back when I was 17, no one was good. Now they're 19 and virtuosos. But what I like to talk about is Cujo, because that band got grit. That band feels good. Like, when you see them, the way they look, the way they perform, how they get better every show, you can feel the skank on them. They got it. And that's taking nothing away from Murderace. They're super talented kids. They're out there, they're working their asses off to play any show they can get, sell all the merch they can. But Cujo, that shit's from the streets. It's good. That Jeff kid looks cooler every time he hits the stage. The drummer is getting better and better. Bass kid, friggin' amazing. The guy is full of energy. Right now, I'm so proud to be an old rock and roller from Henderson County because these kids are killing it. So anybody that knows the lead singer of the Mullets, local punk rock legends from Henderson County, their singer and writer is now a teacher at Henderson County High School. And he is teaching kids that are in Murderachi and Cujo. And to watch Joey come out and see the kids cover his music 20 years later or more makes me so happy. A, for them and me and him. He said in his own words, streaming music is why these kids know anything about that. And it's important. It's important. Even if you were in a dad rock band in 1999 and you put out a shitty CD, put it on the internet. Somebody might like it. Get your music out there. It doesn't stop you from reliving your rock and roll teenage fantasies. You can put your music out there and somebody might hear it. The old versus young that we have in the scene right now is pretty good. There are so many young people. Young people starting bands. Young people coming to shows. Young people that I've never seen before coming to every show. It's a new 14 or 15-year-old kid getting beat up in the pit, having a great time. Old versus young in the scene, we're doing great. There's so many kids coming to shows. There's so many kids starting bands. There's so many older people that have been around for a while that's still fostering this scene. Evansville Shows does a great job. All the booking and promoters do a great job. All the bars, all the venues do a great job of letting the kids be kids, have fun, just like we got to do. Every time I go out and see a new kid and he's slamming into each other, I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then you have people like the lead singer of Foam, like Kyle, bringing his daughter up the other day on stage. You know, that's the next generation. Every year that you start a band and a kid starts a band and you book a show and you keep doing it, that's another year that the scene can keep going because it really matters. You're playing music for the audience, and you got to have an audience. I'm just so proud that our scene is bigger, better, and badder, and louder, and has more different genres of music, and styles of music, and musicians, and freaks, and weirdos, and goth girls, freaking hardcore dummies. We are doing such a good job of letting kids smash into each other and play music. So I'm going to go over a couple shows that are coming up. I did want to bring up Bluegrass in the Park here locally in Henderson. It is in August 9th and 10th. I don't know if this podcast will be out by then, but I do want to bring it up because it does happen every year. You can come and see traditional and progressive bluegrass music for free in Henderson County every summer in August. Local shows, we got them. Here they are. At Damsels, Saturday, August 17th, punk rock show. Steel Boy, female fronted punk rock. Sounds great. I heard it. It sounded good. 40 Reps. The Chugs, Evansville's Beer Daddies. Couch is playing. We've got an awesome show at Damsels. Early Morning. I love that band. Amblar with Matt, the Wall Work Boy. Early Through the Frame. That band's really cool. Haven't played that many shows. They're like the Coheed Cambry of our local scene. That's what I call them. That's on Sunday, August 25th. Then we have Sunday, August 25th at Lamasco's with Murderachi, A Brighter End, Traders, Better Empty. Lamasco's still having shows. Pretty wacky bar, pretty weird place, but there's still a place. Blood Tribe, last show. Dim's Fighting's Words, which is also a good heavy metal band. 86 Fathom, live at the Elm, a Saturday, August 31st at 5 o'clock. And then Saturday, August 31st, Spaced, Full Stride at Damsels. Who's the locals? Grow Blonde, awesome. High Strung, also awesome. I like High Strung a lot because it's more punky than the other hardcore stuff they're doing in Evansville. I guess that's it, folks. I want to thank you for getting through the first Henderson Beat podcast, and there'll be way more to come. I've learned so much more about Auggie than I already did, or I just confirmed everything I already knew. I don't know. But he's a good guy. So happy to have him on my first podcast because he was the first Henderson drummer I had connection with. So thank you guys for putting up with me on my first podcast. The Henderson Beat podcast is going to be consistent. It's going to be rad, and I'm going to try to get as many folks as I can get on here. Everybody and anybody. I learned a lot more about Auggie and confirmed a lot of things I already knew about him. He was the first drummer I met and connected to as a young teen, and also a great Henderson legend. We learned about Scuffletown, Cherokees, Fighting, Flatboats, Ghost Towns. We got a great scene We are doing a great job at promoting our shows as bands in this scene, and our fans and the local scene kids and adults are doing a great job at going to shows. Let's keep that up. We're going to have way more to come, way more interesting guests. Anybody I can get, I want to get on this podcast. So stay tuned to the Henderson Beat podcast. Thanks.